One question that comes up quite often in the comments section is, have I seen Bigfoot out here living alone in the Ouachita National Forest? So I thought I would make a video and address that amongst other things, such as, have I seen any strange UFOs? Have I seen any ghosts? Because 2 people died in that house. Well, let's come out here and answer that. And we'll start with Bigfoot. Now, if you look behind me, this is due south of my property. See if I can raise this up some. It is nothing but national forest as far as you can see. And I'll break right now and I will show you a clip I made of showing this on the map. It shows you just how far it goes. There you go. Right here. And I'm pointing the camera back into here. Here's the barn we're looking at. Now, this is all national forest. Let's pan out a little bit. This is my backyard. There is nobody living in here. Hopefully the camera's picking this up. There's a logging road. I've been up in there. You can barely get through this. It's an old logging road. And it keeps going. And it keeps going. Notice, there is nobody anywhere near here living in here. And it keeps going. And it keeps going. We're going due south. And it keeps going. Let's pan out. A little break. There's, look like there's a homestead there. And then it keeps going. Still going. Very high terrain here. You can tell these are the mountains. Look at the terrain. We're still going south. We'll pan out some more. Still forest, mountains, ridges. Let's pan out more. Little settlements in between. And we're getting close to the Louisiana border. You can still see it's all pretty much forested area. There's Texarkana, Texas. And this is Louisiana. I think it's Louisiana. Let me make sure. Yeah, we're in Louisiana by Shreveport. As you can see, all the way to the coast. I guess they call that the Gulf of America now, huh? Does it say that on the map? It does. Okay. But as you can see, there's, other than Shreveport, there's nothing. Nothing. Okay. Now that you know that I'm out there, let's talk about Bigfoot. Now this, I guess if there were a creature such as Bigfoot, well, this would be the ideal setting, wouldn't it? Because if you've ever tried to walk through that, you would know how difficult it is. All right, I got to traverse through some tall stuff here. In shorts, not wise. So, I have been here 11 years. And in those 11 years, I've seen some things. Some can be explained. Others, maybe not so much. And we're going to stop right here. Oh, I just twisted my ankle. But as far as Bigfoot, I have not seen or heard anything I would classify as a Bigfoot. But on the other hand, I don't come out here and sit at night and listen like I should. I don't look for it. Others in the area have claimed that they have seen it or had an experience or heard noises. I personally have not. Do I believe that they exist? I'm the kind of guy, man, I gotta see something. I got to see proof for something like that to know it's there. Now, we all have, those of us that believe in God, we can't see him, but we believe he's there, right? So I'm not saying Bigfoot does not exist. What is he? I don't know. I personally have not seen anything that resembles, there's some hairy dudes in town that, can be some Bigfoots. But, yeah, have not seen any Sasquatches and Bigfoots. And like I said, I don't go seeking it out. You might have seen something. I personally have not. Another question. Have I ever seen a UFO? Well, I'm going to put a link at the end of this video to a podcast I did probably a year, maybe 2 years ago on my other channel. And that explains an encounter I had in 1983 with a friend of mine down in the Comanche Mountains of Oklahoma. Don't know what it was. You guys can watch the video, but it was very strange. It was it was just strange. Now, out here, I've looked at the sky, okay, before I had internet out here or anything really to do. I'd go outside on my front porch and I'd lay there and I'd look up because you could see the stars like you wouldn't believe out here. And I would see comets and shooting stars and things like that. But nothing that and I think a lot of things I saw were like satellites because they would track in the one direction. You can tell what those are. But I never seen anything strange that I would classify as a UFO. However, the lady that owns this land right here, and it's kind of grown up right now. It's summertime, but right over there you can see there's an old hay barn. Right there. I'll zoom in if I can on editing. But in the wintertime, there's a driveway right there, and they come down in there with the tractor with bales of hay, and they throw hay to the cattle. And she says, and she's 80 years old, goes to church. I have no reason not to believe her. She seems sane. I've known her 11 years since I've been here. But she says, one evening she went down, and they always feed like right when it gets dark, if not after dark. I don't understand that, but that's what they do sometimes. So she's down there, brings two bales of hay. She's cutting off those big bales of hay are wrapped with twine, and they got a netting on there, and you got to cut it off before you give it to the cattle. So she's down there, and she sees a light shine down on her. This is what I'm telling you exactly how she told me. She's right there with the tractor, taking care of the cattle, and then all of a sudden, she sees a light shine down on her. And she looks up, and probably just a little above that tree line right there, that big tree, she says there was a humongous triangular craft that made no noise at all. And it had lights on the corners of it. And it was shining a beam of light directly on her and the tractor. And she said it stayed there for a few minutes, and she couldn't do nothing. She froze. It wasn't like she was terrified, but she just froze and couldn't do anything. And as quick as it appeared, it was gone. Now, why would an 80-year-old woman make something like that up? I don't know. I haven't seen anything myself like that. I hope I don't. That's what she's telling me. She's been here all her life. She owns a good part of this highway. I mean, she owns a lot of land on this highway. So that's what she told me she saw. And she didn't tell me that right after I moved here to try to scare me off. I've already been here. And this was just 2 years ago, I think, when I heard this. So, my Why would you tell somebody that? I mean, that's an outlandish story if it isn't true. A lot of people think you're nuts if you tell them that, but not so much anymore because there's so many sightings. We're probably selfish to believe that we are the only living beings in the universe or all the universes, because we're not. I guarantee you we're not. And you can believe what you want, but that's what she told me. Now, ghosts. Do I believe in ghosts? Well, I don't know what they are, but I can tell you I've had several experiences in my life that cannot be explained. Some here, but the ones that I've seen before here were even, they were a lot worse. Now, I worked for newspapers for many years, ran the printing presses, and I worked for a newspaper in Oklahoma, a small newspaper. I worked for the big major ones, and I've also worked for a lot of small ones. And this one had been there over 100 years. And we had a paper warehouse. I was running the press one night. It was a long day. I was running the press, and I needed another roll of paper. Well, we had a paper warehouse 2 doors down. It was in a downtown area of an old Oklahoma town. And our paper warehouse used to be the old Indian drunk tank, is what they call it. The Indians would get drunk and they'd throw them in there until they sobered up. And this was like during the turn of the century. Conditions weren't the greatest. Old warehouse. And so I go in there and we'd leave had a big garage door and we'd leave that open. And so I walked down there. I'm going to go to the forklift and get a roll of paper. As I turn the corner to go into the warehouse, I see this guy, I don't know, probably 50, 60 feet ahead of me. He's over by the forklift where I got to go. Long hair, dressed all kind of raggedy looking. I didn't really recognize the kind of things he was wearing. And I yelled at him. I said, dude, what are you doing in here, man? Get out of here. Because there was a few vagrant type people around. Not really homeless, but just, old can. They dig through the dumpsters and find cans. And this is about 8 o'clock at night. And he turned around and he's walking. He turned around. He looked at me. Then he turned around and kept walking and walked right through a stone wall. I ain't kidding you. And I'm like, I turned white, man. I mean, I'm already white, but I turned whiter. So I go in. The boss had been there she had been there for 30 years. She was the head of the whole production. She'd been there over 30 years. And I walked in and she goes, and I ain't kidding you. She says, what's going on? You look like you seen a ghost. That's what she said. And I'm like, oh, I did. And she just smiled at me. And I'm like, what? And I told her what I saw. And she says, he won't hurt you. Well, what do you mean he won't hurt me? She said, we see him all the time. You would be in that place working. Okay, these rolls of newspaper would weigh 1,000 pounds apiece. 900 to 1,000 pounds apiece. And we would probably bring in 10 or 12, every a couple of days. And you would just notice something moving out of the back of your eye. And you'd look over and one of them big rolls was moving. Just rolling on its own. On level ground. 2 people had died in that building. One was a reporter, I guess, up in the office area. I got dogs going off here. And the pressman died. Died on the press. They're interrupting my video. All right. Rarely do I have to break in the middle of a video, but I did because one of the dogs was chasing another dog. Where was I? So anyway, she's telling me all these stories and how many times she's seen things happen in that building. Well, a week later, one of the people that worked up front, one of the reporters, They called the ghost hunter people, and they came out and spent a night there. And I looked for it, and I couldn't find it. It was on the internet, and they caught voices, orbs everywhere. They went in that warehouse, got all kinds of, you could hear music playing and people talking, and it was freaky. And I got the creeps in that place, man. So that was one incident that I had. Call it what you want. Another incident was in Miami Beach in a house that I was working on. And I seen some things there. I won't get into the details, but I did see some things there. Didn't actually see them, but things happened that were, you know, boxes would get moved, things like that, thumps on the wall, those kind of things. And here I have an image. I used to have, I had a Nikon camera, and I took the photo right there, and I looked for it. It's on one of my videos, one of my earlier videos, and I cannot find it. But I was doing a high speed, I was trying to catch some birds, and I was doing high speed photo catching, you know, and an image appeared, and it was only in 3 of the frames, and then it was gone. But it looked like a human figure, and it was standing right there. You know, could be a lens flare, whatever, don't know. Other people looked at it, saw the video, and they were like, that's somebody standing there. Now, this area, did a history check on it. Nobody inhabited this area, you know. I'm sure thousands of years ago. But the nearest, or the earliest Native Americans that were on record came here in the 1790s. Russellville, Dardenville, which is, 40 minutes from here. So, I mean, it wouldn't be impossible that they would be in this area. But look at the terrain, guys. It's not hospitable. They're going to be by water, which is where Dardanelle and Russellville are. It's by rivers. And there's no reason to be here. Not saying there couldn't be, but I've never found any arrowheads or anything like that that would tip me off that there was any kind of a civilization here. So 1790s, the Cherokees were moved here from the Carolinas, and then white people started moving in, and you know the story there. So, nothing, no kind of history there. But now this cabin, 2 people perished in this cabin. One in the cabin, one, I believe, they found her out. Actually, the lady that saw the UFO actually found her out front, but he died upstairs in the loft, right up there. And so I don't go up there. I don't sleep up there. I'm not afraid. None of that scares me. I don't know why. It just doesn't scare me. I don't get the feeling here. You do see orbs on the camera all the time, and they do weird things, and I've seen some weird things. On occasion, and this is no lie, they were heavy smokers. Now, when I bought this place, I tore out every bit of the sheetrock, and except for the ceiling at the very top. And me and my brother put 2 or 3 coats of Kills on there, and covered all the nicotine and everything up. But every now and then, I'll walk in there, and I will smell, and I was a smoker for 35 years, I will smell a fresh burning cigarette, just like somebody's in there smoking. And I can't figure out where that comes from or why that happens. But once in a while, that's what happens. So I don't dabble in that stuff, ghosts and all that. And, whether it's true or not, I don't know. But I haven't seen Bigfoot. I haven't seen a UFO, but I have seen what you could say might be a ghost, a spirit. Those are the rabbits. They hang out and eat this chicken feed. So whatever they are, there's a lot of things in life we can't explain, right? And that's one of them. There's really no solid proof of any of it. Give me a body of a Bigfoot, Give me a real clear photo. Maybe I'll halfway believe it. But for a lot of us, we got to see it to believe it. That's just how I am. But as you seen on the map when I showed you, this goes back all the way to the Gulf. Pretty much. It's broken up in some places for little towns, and that's it. Shreveport is the only big city this way, and it just continues to be what you see here, and it only gets thicker going into Louisiana. But to try to walk through this stuff is damn near impossible. As you can see, it's, you know, a lot like this here. You just can't do it. So, all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Kind of a subject I've been wanting to avoid because, well, they don't seem to get views and stuff when I do videos like this. Because there's all the non-believers and, you know, I ain't saying I'm a believer in any of it. Just giving you my experiences. Thanks for watching. Happy trails. Good morning, Lily. For those of you that want to see my dogs, there's Miss Lily. I have to head out of here.